Hello and welcome to Weather and Wellness for the week of June 23rd, 2025. We're going to be looking at the weather in London and other places around the world this week, and we're going to talk about how that information or how the weather forecast and different dynamic components of it can inform our diet and lifestyle choices this week and what to be paying attention to. I'm not a weather person and I'm not a scientist or anything like in a really specific discipline like that, but I do find myself to be sensitive to different weather changes. And being a teacher and a parent, I've seen over time that there are little nuances that are happening. And when we make little tweaks and we recognize it, we can really feel a lot better and have more optimal health in body, mind, and spirit as we go through each week. What we eat one week isn't going to be the same as what we eat another week because the conditions are different. And we don't always really consider that, especially now in a time where it's so easy to just get food, all kinds of food all year round. But the truth of the matter is, we wouldn't really be eating like a piping hot beef stew in the middle of summer or, some really rich, hearty food. We want something like fresh and cooling because we want to create balance within the environment. And that's the great thing about our body. It's always trying to seek balance. So even when certain weather patterns will throw us out of balance, our body will naturally come back to balance. And when we understand what's going on, we can support that restoration back to balance a little bit more easily. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm so glad you're here today. My name is Sheila O'Connor. I am a health coach and educator. I've been a health coach for about 10 years. Before that, I was a primary school teacher. I've also worked as a chef, and I lead country walks here in London, and I do all kinds of fun stuff. And for this channel, we're going to explore weather and wellness because I think it's kind of fun. So I hope you think it's interesting as well. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about just trends for summer and like I'll look at a few spots where normally I look at London and I look at some different spots around the world to see what patterns we're finding. The idea would be that you would find the weather, you would look at the weather in your area and be able to apply this, over time you start to learn how to look for these different trends, okay? Before we start today, though, I'd just like that we all pause for just a minute, take a couple breaths, and really envisioning peaceful solutions, resolutions in a lot of the conflict that's going on in the world. So just take a minute and take a breath and just envision that and sending peaceful wisdom to all the people that are involved in these decisions. I know that besides the weather, all these other global events are also impacting our health, and we're going to talk a little bit about them as we progress through today's today's video. So the first thing is happy summer solstice. We just passed that on Saturday over the weekend. So I hope you really enjoyed the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, the shortest day if you happen to be joining from the Southern Hemisphere. And the word solstice means sun standing still. And so it really is kind of a moment to pause as we've reached through this halfway point of the year and maybe reflect and say, okay, this is what's happened in the first half of the year. And now we've got this other half to kind of tackle, 50% is it's well done, but we're not there yet. So I think we take a lot of time in the new year to in January, we really get all these ideas, but there's this halfway point where we can do the same thing. and really take that as a reset point, especially we're at the beginning of a new season. We have 3 months now to really explore that season and kind of work through all the gifts and things that that is going to offer us. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the share. Okay, so here is the biometeorological forecast for London. I always start with the biometeorological forecast because that's that word is where it is connected to our bodies, and that can come from the sun, it can come from the moon, it can come from the wind, it can come from UV, and there's a few different factors that we will, by the barometric pressure, different things will come through and it'll tell us, and we're going to look at that and just how that looks in a minute. Um, Really quickly, before I get to that, I'm gonna make this just a bit smaller, and then I want to show you. Yesterday, I took a screenshot because this index here was a 1. I had to take a screenshot because I couldn't believe it. Like I haven't seen it as a 1 in weeks and weeks, and the sun is calming down, at least for a day. So hopefully you got a little bit of rest and kind of felt that it wasn't in so intense maybe in your body, and just had an enjoyable, peaceful Sunday. So I took a screenshot so we could see that. Now let's go back here to the forecast. And all right, here we go. So here we have for London. It's kind of the same. It hasn't changed a lot. Let's go ahead and see. Okay, so we have Stockholm. I tend to pick places I've spent a lot of time or I know people, or sometimes I just look around and see where there's weather that we can use as an example. And I did spend some time living in Stockholm a few summers ago. Really beautiful place, really wonderful place to visit in the summertime as well. So over there, they're having a 4. And that is because you see here we have the influence of low pressure and atmospheric pressure. So they're also getting the geomagnetic conditions. So their weather sensitivities are a little different than the places who are having it from just geomagnetic and the UV. So I just want to show you what that might look like in different places when different weather comes through. Also, the same in Las Vegas. They are having some low pressure, geomagnetic conditions, and UV. So there can really be different mixes in different places. So this is on world-weather.info. So you can go there, and you can also look up biometeorology forecast right here, biometeorological forecast, and you should be able to get some information for your own location. Okay, and then we talked about Denver last week. It's kind of the same solar activity and UV, and then we have Los Angeles, the same. So none of that is really too surprising. That's pretty consistent. It's getting pretty hot. I do want to look at the pressure though in London because we have some changes coming up here. This line represents where we are now. We were up kind of higher, and if you can see here, coming up Thursday morning, between Wednesday morning and Thursday morning, we're going to have a drop in pressure, and then we'll expand that out to 7 days, and then it's going to go up. So Wednesday, Thursday, that would be the time you want to know if you're that person that gets the maybe a migraine, maybe just really fatigued, maybe stomach cramps, joint muscle stuff, any of that stuff can come up with the barometric pressure dropping like that. And also we talked about Stockholm. So if we look at Stockholm, um, their pressure is really low, and they're going into the super low zone, right? So if we look at this 3 day, here's the line, they're really going low, 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 and then they're going to climb out of it. It will still be low. So again, the body will regulate itself over time, but if you want to maintain your energy and stuff through this, it is better to increase your acids, put extra lemon, extra vinegar, drink some vinegar or lemon water, and that will just help you get through that. And then finally, I just wanted to show you what that kind of looks like. Um, if we go to 7 days, they're going to go low, 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 stay kind of low. And then later, let's see. Yeah, at the end of next weekend, everything should be moving back out of this low pressure system. So again, and we can see what that looks like on the radar actually. And here's Stockholm right here. And if you look, you can see London down here in the same screen. So you can see where these different layers of pressure are moving through. Anywhere that you're living, you're going to have some fluctuations this week. So let's go ahead and push play and we can watch these systems go through. And they're moving around, looks like over into Finland. If you look over here, in London, this system is moving down a little bit, but it's not as low. And then this one's moving over through Estonia and on. So again, you can find where you live and look at the map of what's going on. We were looking at the sun. We still have the geomagnetic conditions. What I want to focus on is this map. Let's close this so we are looking at a smaller piece. This is the flares that are coming off the sun, and you can see here we had these big flares about a few days ago, but now it's kind of calming down. So we don't, that's why everything's calmer. We're not getting that same geomagnetic fluctuations. I did see a video over the weekend from a weather forecaster. I think it was in Florida. And he was saying that some of the funding that's being cut in the US currently is making it really difficult to do like the top predictions that everyone has been accustomed to. So it's just another reason, I think, to really be responsible for yourself and finding your information. There's lots of places to find your weather and, obviously go outside and notice how you're interacting with it. But like none of this stuff is guaranteed. I'm using the resources I have. Looking at I'm also looking at different ones so I can learn more. There's a lot of stuff to kind of see, but mostly I'm sticking to the basics right now and I'm kind of focusing on something on our health and wellness. So the next thing we're going to do, let's go back to the share and just finish up the share section here. Okay, so finally, this is the last one I think we're going to look at. I need to adjust this window. There we go. Okay, yeah, I had to change the one I was using because I was having some problems with another one of the services. This is just on AccuWeather. There's a few things I want to point out on this that's very interesting. Um, there's the heat that's going on. This is kind of nice because it gives you all these like top stories, which I kind of like. I was going to talk about this one here from another story that there was a boat capsizing in Lake Tahoe, and what a horrible tragedy for all involved. Um, and it seems like the weather is quite unpredictable and it's changing quite quickly. So it is important to be aware and alert of kind of what's going on. Like there could be subtle shifts in the wind or like you can, if you're paying attention, you can usually feel when those things are kind of happening, or like the clouds suddenly become lower, just different things. So start thinking about how paying attention to that kind of stuff. There's the severe storms here, tornado. I saw there was also, yeah, rare high elevation tornado on Pikes Peak. So there's all kinds of weather events kind of going on all around. And then I just want to show you really quick about the whole standing still thing because I do this. It's a funny thing that I do sometimes, especially when we're around the equinox and solstice points. When you're on the weather channels, it's kind of fun. Well, I think it's kind of fun. If you, let's see if I can get to that point here. Oh, here we go. So here we have today on the 23rd, and we have the sun rises here at 4:43 and it sets at 9:22. So that's what we have here in London currently. And then if we go all the way to, let's just say Saturday the 7th, right? And that's in a couple weeks. And we go down to that same data point. See, the sun is rising at 4:57 and it's setting at 9:15. So it's not that different over this 2 weeks. So the 2 weeks before, the 2 weeks after, it kind of is that standing still point of the solstice. So really enjoy that. These are the longest days. It isn't one day, there's one exact day, but really we get a couple weeks on either side of that solstice, that sun standing still in the top of the sky, making our days really, really long. So we saw that there's a lot of heat. So you want to be making sure that you're not overheating. Don't exercise in the middle of the day. Stay hydrated. All the things that you know to do for heat. And paying attention to the rapid changes in weather and thunderstorms. I think the electrolytes are super important to make sure that your body is getting the right nutrition to connect that circuit. And, you know, the big thing I really want to talk about though is our stress and immunity that is already under pressure because of world events going on. So when you go into the fluctuations of the weather and you already have a little bit, you know, there a little bit of stress on your system, which it's just a fact. When you have the stress, it does lower your immunity. So you need to be taking extra care, take some extra vitamins, make sure you're eating nutritionally dense food, fresh fruits and vegetables with all kinds of vitamins and minerals in them are very, very nourishing. A good barbecue is going to give you all the proteins and amino acids that you need to manage all of those cellular functions to keep yourself feeling well. And especially important is that recognizing that when you're not feeling well, you might have some brain fog or something, and then you're not always making the best decisions. So taking a shower, having even a spoonful of honey can kind of really jumpstart your cells a little bit. Put lemon in your iced tea, put honey in your herbal teas. Really try to stay away from sugar and processed food because that is going to increase the brain fog. It's going to increase the inflammation. And as much food that you can be making that is whole food, nutritionally dense, it's really going to help your system feel safe and supported during all of these stressful times. And find moments to be peaceful and joyful and kind in your day. And, you know, and that means really just taking care of yourself and taking responsibility for yourself. In my newsletter community, we have a focus every month. And the last few months, we do acknowledge the world events, and we have been talking about things like inner trust, neutrality, and this month we're focusing on simplicity. So if you need to dial things back to make them even more simple, that can be also very supportive and just kind of taking off the burden that maybe is unnecessary to give some self-care. Also, with the geomagnetic stuff, getting on the ground, your barefoot feet on the ground, and taking Epsom salt baths are really, really supportive of that. I know I just listed a whole bunch of stuff, and really the most important thing is self-care and taking that deep breath to bring your body back into a sense of calm when you notice it. And just as I finish, whenever something happens in our body, whether it comes from the weather, from a bad conversation, from something we ate, from not getting enough sleep, it's just feedback that something's out of balance. So I think it's really helpful to take personal responsibility and recognize, okay, I'm out of balance, and what are the next steps to do to get back into balance. I hope that's helpful. I wish you all a great first week of summer into the new solstice season. I'm going to have some good summer videos coming out to really make the most of summer and enjoy it in the best way that we can. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.